Hey, what's up? Sliptide here, and that's rocking because I'm touching my desk. That sucks. Let's figure something else out, maybe. Unscrew. Let's see, I undo this thumb screw and tighten. Hey, sweet. Okay. What are we talking about again? My glasses are filthy. How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow? Little Ron Burgundy there. The arsonist has oddly shaped feet. What's going on, everyone? Sliptide here, and I still need to hook up the audio and MIDI for the gear right over there on the table. It's been a month and a half. Yeah, about a month and a half. And I just need to get it done. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of days. And we're going to record it, and it's going to be fun. But before we do that, there's actually something super important that I wanted to share with you. And frankly, if you aren't doing this, you need to be doing it, especially if you have goals and aspirations to perform your music live. And this is a really big tip for the electronic musicians, especially if you're going it alone. It's really hard to get to a gig and hook everything up sometimes. And there's not really a good solution for transporting gear already plugged in. It gets pretty complicated pretty quickly if you've got hardware. So what is it? It's a wiring diagram. And I write mine down on a notepad because that helps me remember what I'm plugging in and where. This also goes along with the tip of labeling your connections, labeling your cables, and just try to use the same cables for the same connections each time. Same instruments, like you've got a cable that's dedicated to your TR-8S ins and outs. It's labeled on both ends. You know where it comes from and where it goes to in your setup. And this will also help you manage your connections and audio routing. Do it for audio, do it for MIDI. I'm going to say that again, but I actually have to redraw this and redo it for this studio setup. And I'm adding some gear into this mix. So let's go ahead and do it together. So this is a wiring diagram, and it shows you how your stuff's connected, both through your outputs for audio, your inputs for audio, and in this case, USB, because I used to have some weird USB issues, and MIDI routing. The reason you want something like this, whether it be physically written or something you make on the computer, is because when you tour or you play shows live, you're going to get to your venue, and I'd say 80% of the time, you're not going to have any help hooking up your stuff. So unless you're rolling with a crew that knows what they're doing, or can easily take directions from you for hooking stuff up, or can easily read something like this, this saves you because you're going to be loading your gear in and talking to people and meeting other artists, and there are a lot of distractions. And then at some point, you got to set up. And if you're not setting up before the venue opens, it becomes even more complicated, because then you might be on stage trying to set up, and it's dark, and you're using a flashlight, and there's a whole bunch of blinking lights and all kinds of crazy stuff going on, and it's super loud. So this will cut down on your stress and your mistakes that you might make when trying to hook stuff up. There's some other tips that go along with this stuff, but let's start here. Have a studio diagram of how things are hooked up. Make it portable. Make it easy to read for yourself. For others too would be great. This is not easy for other people to read right now, so I got to work on that, but it works for me. So I got some cables. You can see this up here, I forgot. I shortened this one up, and we're going to use this for the kick drum. So I got to move the monitor out of the way. Alright, so it's kind of blurry, sorry for that. But again, right here in the front, this is the master, or the mix out. You know, the left mono and then the right for stereo. So some people might poo-poo on this, but I'm gonna mono out the rest of the drums. I don't pan my drums during performances anyway, at least not yet. Okay, so kick drum is gonna be this, which is output 1 on the 3 groupings of outputs, and you can do just an output 1 there. It won't focus. It's okay. So then we're gonna hook up that to the input line in this one right here on the Tascam. Great. And then let's shorten up this other cable here. Make things a little neater back there. Should probably do this with cable ties, but I'm a little impatient right now. Okay. So we need to hook this up to the mono mix out. And that's going to go down here next to this guy. The line in, which I can't really show you. Before I move any further, I might as well set up the TR-8S to do what it's supposed to do. So we want to send the bass drum out through that channel we just plugged into. So we're going to select bass drum. We're going to do Shift Kit to edit the kit, and I already cycled through all of the settings here once before, but you go to Output and it's going to show you all of the different abbreviations for the parts: bass drum, snare drum, etc. So you want to select your bass drum, press enter, and it lets you change the output. So right now it's into the whole mix of the drums. Well, we want to do assign 1, and that's just going to assign that drum sound going out on that assign 1, not on the grouping of A, which is 1 and 2. You can actually do that back here on assign A. That would be 1 and 2. So assign 1 is what we want. Enter, kit. That's it. And don't forget to save. Well, the Rove camera died, so yeah. So I stuck the Osmo Action up, clipped to one of the light fixtures in my rafters, and now we have this view, which looks pretty good on the front-facing camera for the Osmo, so that's a win. And it's probably better quality than what I was doing before, but here we go. We're gonna plug in the Volca bass. You can see here I've got a cable. It's pretty long. It's I don't even know how long it is, but it's labeled. It says Volca bass or V bass on it. This is the one I've been using. So let's plug this into the TR-8S. I don't quite remember where that is, so I'm going to use my webcam because that was a handy trick. And I think it's way on the side. External in. Oh, that's not that far over there. Okay. Yep. Right there. Mono 1. Cool. And we're going to route this cable down sit here. I've got a little space and some cables that kind of hang out there. Move my other microphone out of the way. And I'm gonna get these all shortened up off camera with cable ties instead of just wrapping them around each other now. Welcome bass. There we go. I love it. So where did the diagram go? It's right here in front of me. So we got the kick, drums, Volca bass. Awesome. Kick, drums, Volca bass. Kick, drums, and Volca bass on the TR-8S as inputs. I guess we just start hooking other stuff up. But I want to take a quick look at the iPad for TouchOSC to see what we have there available for MIDI routing to make sure that I'm going to get this all in the right order. So I'll take a look at that and then kind of do a montage of plugging things in and writing stuff down. But you get the general idea, and that's what we're doing for capturing these inputs and then writing down the outputs. So yeah, let's just fast forward through some of this stuff and then we can get to a sound check maybe a little later. So here we are, sometime later, and everything's plugged in, ready to go. So this is my performance template, and you see here we've got the MIDI tracks for the various instruments. And as we scroll along, just a quick demo. I'm going to cover this again in a future video when we start talking about workflow and performance. But we've got MIDI, we've got the actual inputs of audio. So you can see here that these are taking the external inputs, which is the Tascam 2020 that we have. And we scroll over and we've got a run of VSTs, which are all Reason VST devices, because I'm a big fan of a lot of the devices in Reason, and I've done a lot of work in the past in Reason, so this kind of lets me touch upon some of my old sounds within this template. And then samples. So it's a really big template, but we really just want to focus on this part. This is the MIDI, and we want to see that we're controlling things through MIDI. We're controlling our instruments, and we're getting sound output. So the first thing we want to check is we hooked up the kick drum to be on its own channel. That's an output from the TR-8S to input to channel 9. Yep, on the Tascam, and then all the other drums going to channel 10, which is on the back of the Tascam. So this should be independent volume from the overall drums. So what I'm going to do is turn down the Roland TR-8S and see if the kick drum plays. I do need to enable this for the sync of MIDI from the TR-8S, so everything should start playing. Okay, two things. We've got our kick drum. Oh, you don't hear it. I almost did it. I almost didn't enable the audio. There it is. Two great things. We've got the kick drum. Even though the volume is down, we hear our kick drum, and we see all of the sequences playing on all of our MIDI chain. Fantastic. Now let's check for the rest of the drums. Ooh, that's right. We have the external input, which was the Volca bass. Right here, TR-8S external input, Volca bass. That's what this is. Cool. That's awesome. I'm really happy. We're getting the output we want. Things sound pretty good. If we look at what I've configured over here, we see that we've got the Unos on channel 2. So let's go here to the key step, channel 2. And we see the MIDI going out. Turn our volume up. Yeah. Fun. Alright, so then we've got MIDI channel 5 is the keys. Six should be the bass, but we heard the bass going through the TR-8S, right? And there it is. Then we have the Volca FM on channel 7. What else do we have? Looks like EA1 and EA1 Part 2 are on channels 3 and 4. On the strike fed is on channel 8. I guess we could check the strike fed. So channel 8. Oh, there's a lot of noise coming off of that, and I don't know why. Well, I'll troubleshoot that sometime later. We checked some of the instruments. The MIDI routing seems to be functional. I need to work on some of the stuff in Ableton Live to get my template set up and using what we have available to us and routed correctly. But yeah, things are looking good so far. Well, I'm excited. We've got audio, we've got MIDI, we're ready to go. So, need to do some work in Ableton. I'll start recording some of the work I'm doing there and share it with you. So we talked about our wiring diagrams, and the funny thing is, during all of this recording, I had to record that sound check several times. And whether it was because I wasn't using OBS, the recording software on my computer properly, and screwing up my audio, Or I didn't write down the outputs, my output connections, in my wiring diagram. Literally talking about how important this is, and I didn't do it all. So the first time through, which was a great take, I actually didn't have any of the outputs from the Tascam hooked up to my submixer. So my computer had no way to record what we were doing. And yeah, all that footage was ruined because you couldn't hear anything. So yeah, you still learn these lessons, right? It's better to learn it in your studio than out in a live setting, setting up for a show. Yeah, I've got a whole notebook chock full of topics and ideas to talk about here on the channel. So if you kind of like this stuff, or if you're interested in any of the music I make, like, subscribe. I think there's a bell you're supposed to click or something like that. I don't know. I hear other people on YouTube say it. So again, I'm Zliptide, and all my music is available on major streaming platforms. Definitely go check out Bandcamp, because that's where all of my new stuff is going to be dropping before it makes it to other major streaming places in the future. So yeah, thanks for watching.